He ordered a wife for the ranch, but his daughter's shocking request haunts him forever. Beneath the shimmering sun, the ranch sprawled like an oasis. It was as picturesque as a postcard, but there were shadows lurking, dark secrets and chilling surprises ready to crawl out from the dusty corners of its legacy. Jack Thompson, a rugged man with hands of leather and a heart as wide as Texas, had one goal: he needed a wife. His daughter, Rosie, with her wild, untamed spirit, had other ideas, ones that would haunt him forever. The day started like any other, the weight of loneliness settling deep in Jack's chest. He flipped through the pages of a strange magazine, an ad catching his eye. It read, "Order a wife delivered straight to your ranch." Jack chuckled, shaking his head. But with every laugh, that tight knot of longing in his heart squeezed a little harder. Could he really do this? The moment's strange allure was interrupted by a loud rustling outside. The wind howled like a ghost, carrying secrets of the past. Jack snapped his gaze toward the barn, where shadows danced. His imagination raced. Were those just shifting hay bales, or something more sinister? He rubbed his arms, goosebumps prickling his skin. The ranch felt alive somehow, a sentient being tying him to its history. Suddenly, Rosie burst through the door, eyes wild. "Dad! I need to tell you something." The frenetic energy in her voice spread like wildfire. She had a request, a shocking notion that made Jack's blood run cold. As she spilled her heart, every word seemed wrapped in danger. "I think we should invite the wives to see if they're the right fit for us." It felt like stepping off a cliff into darkness. "What are you talking about?" Jack gulped, his throat tightening. "This isn't some game." His hands shook, betraying the anger and fear brewing inside him. But as he looked into Rosie's determined gaze, he realized she wasn't backing down. This was bigger than both of them, a whirlwind sweeping them toward an uncertain fate. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." As Jack wrestled with his daughter's shocking proposal, a chill crept through the air, and a scream pierced the silence, a piercing cry that echoed across the wide open space, binding their fates. Jack's heart raced, a drum of uncertainty pounding in his ears. What had he drawn them into? The past gripped him tighter than ever, and he felt the darkness closing in. Was this a decision that could tear them apart forever? The scream faded into a haunting echo, settling like a heavy fog over Jack's mind. He froze, eyes wide, adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Rosie, did you hear that?" Panic laced his voice. "Yeah," she whispered, the fire in her eyes dimmed by confusion. "But what was it?" Jack edged toward the door, every instinct screaming at him to stay inside, to shield her from whatever darkness lurked beyond the threshold. The ranch, a place he loved fiercely, now felt like a trap, each creak of the floorboards rattling his nerves. He stepped out, squinting against the harsh sunlight that now seemed almost sinister. The barn loomed in front of him, its worn wood and rusted hinges a testament to decades of secrets. He felt drawn to it, something inside urging him forward. But what awaited him there? "Let me go first." Rosie's voice broke through his thoughts. Her courage sparked something within him, propelling him forward. With trembling hands, he reached for the doorknob and swung it open. An uneasy silence greeted them, but the air was thick with an unshakable tension, as though every shadow held a secret. They stepped inside the barn, and the hairs on Jack's neck stood on end. His eyes searched the dim corners, sweeping past the abandoned tools and cobwebs, but found nothing out of the ordinary. "What are we looking for?" Rosie said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know," he admitted, his mind racing. Then, from the darkness, a figure shifted. A tall silhouette emerged, half enveloped in shadows. Jack's heart sank into his stomach as recognition dawned. Gray. It was an old family friend, someone who had been missing for years. The bitter taste of dread washed over him. Jack. Gray's voice rasped from dry lips. I've come to warn you. His eyes flickered between both father and daughter, worry etched across his wizened face. It's about the wives. What? What do you mean? Jack took a step closer, a knot tightening in his chest. Gray hesitated, casting a glance toward Rosie, as if assessing how much he should reveal. When you order them, you don't just get a wife. You bring something else into your life. Something malicious. Stop it. Rosie said, her voice shaking. What are you talking about? There's a curse tied to those who order and to the ranch itself, Gray warned. The wives you intend to invite, their presence awakens what's buried here. Trust me, you don't want to stir that pot. Jack's head buzzed with confusion. A curse? Gray, this isn't some fairy tale. We're talking about real people, real lives. Gray stepped forward, the tension in his shoulders palpable. I thought I could help you, but you need to listen carefully. You have to end this before it begins, or everything you hold dear will be in danger. The ranch has seen too much bloodshed. It craves more, and you are its next target. Fear gripped Jack's heart tighter than ever. His daughter's dream of a future was entangled with a past drenched in horror. As he looked into Rosie's wide eyes, filled with dread and defiance, he felt the walls closing in. Before he could respond, the barn trembled with an ominous groan. Dust floated from the rafters above, and a deep, resonating laugh echoed. It was the voice of the ranch, challenging his authority. What will you do, Jack Thompson? In that moment, he realized the depth of the stakes and the weight of his choices. The ranch wasn't just a place, it was a living entity entwined in their fates. What's your next move? Gray whispered, fear dancing in his own eyes. Could they possibly turn back, or was this the beginning of a nightmare they couldn't wake from? Jack's mind raced with implications. Dad, what do we do? Rosie's voice trembled. Before he could answer, a loud crash erupted from the far end of the barn. In the chaos, he felt the ground shift beneath his feet. Was the ranch itself trying to throw them out? An icy claw of dread curled around his heart. Jack understood then, they had unwittingly stepped into a realm of danger, and the choices ahead loomed darker than he had ever imagined. And as darkness gathered around them, Jack knew. Whatever he decided next could seal their fates forever. How would he protect Rosie from the shadows of the past? The weight of the ranch's legacy bore down, and with it came the haunting question, how deep was he willing to dig to uncover the truth? The crash echoed violently through the barn, reverberating off the walls and sending waves of dust spiraling into the thin shafts of light filtering through the cracks. Jack's heart raced as he spun around to face the source of the noise. Was it an animal? Or something worse? Stay close, Rosie, he urged, his voice strained, a lump forming in his throat. With every step deeper into the barn, a mounting urgency pressed against him. Shadows seemed to twist and stretch like claws reaching for them. Jack could feel it, a cold, creeping chill that latched onto his spine. Gray, where did that noise come from? Jack demanded, his eyes darting across the grimy interior, searching for any sign of danger. Back there, Gray pointed, his voice shaky. There's an old storage room. It's where they kept the tools after everything happened. Jack hesitated. The allure of the unknown was both terrifying and magnetic. He could either turn back and retreat to what felt like the safety of the outside world, or he could forge ahead into the dark heart of the ranch. The choice weighed heavily on him. Rosie, hold my hand, he said, instinct driving him to keep his daughter grounded. Together, they stepped toward the dimmest corner, the shadows wrapping tighter around them as if trying to keep their secrets hidden. Jack's heart pounded against his chest, an unyielding rhythm urging him on. Then came another crash, louder this time, followed by a muttered curse. Jack's mouth went dry. They weren't alone. He was about to speak when a figure emerged from the shadows, nervous, agitated. It was a woman, wild-eyed and wild-haired, covered in dust and dirt like she had just escaped from something sinister beneath the earth. "Help me!" she cried, eyes darting from Jack to Gray, and finally locking onto Rosie. "You have to help me." Jack stepped back instinctively, pulling Rosie behind him. "What is going on? Who are you?" The woman glanced over her shoulder, panic creeping into her features. "They'll come for you, too. The ranch, it never forgets. You need to leave. The wives, they're not what you think." Jack's stomach twisted. He felt a surge of protectiveness wash over him. "What do you mean? What wives?" "The ones you plan to order. They're not just women, they're vessels. The ranch feeds off their energy, and when the order is complete, something vile awakens." Rosie squeezed Jack's hand. "Dad, maybe we should listen to her. No. This can't be real." His voice echoed against the barn walls, desperation clawing at him. "This is insane." But Gray stepped forward, his expression darkening. "It's true, Jack. I didn't want to believe it myself, but I've seen it, I've lived it. The spirit of this place, it demands offerings. It craves more than just sacrifice, it wants control." The woman's breathing hitched as she stumbled closer, reaching for Jack. "You don't understand. You're not safe. If you order, you won't just lose your girl's safety. You'll unleash what's held captive here. You'll doom yourselves." Jack's head buzzed with conflicting thoughts, fear, doubt, clarity. He desperately scanned the storage room for some clue, something that would reveal the truth. Just then, the earth trembled beneath him again, and the laughter, a deep, booming laugh, rose once more from the bowels of the ranch, mocking him. Panic surged through him. "What's happening? Run!" Gray shouted, but his warning came too late. A shadow passed overhead, seeping into the barn like smoke, twisting around them, coiling tightly. The woman's eyes widened in terror as she pointed toward the approaching darkness. "It's too late. They've come." Jack felt the suffocating weight of destiny pressing down. With a surge of adrenaline, he grasped Rosie tighter, heart racing. They had come looking for answers, but now it felt like they were teetering on the edge of something far worse. "Now what, Jack?" Rosie cried, voice trembling. Tremors of fear rippled through him, a choice blazing at the forefront of his mind. To turn back and flee, or to face the darkness pooling around them, daring him to step deeper into the nightmare. He had to protect her, that was all that mattered. But what was the cost of their safety? Then the darkness surged. "Choose, Jack." The voice echoed like an incantation, shaking him to the core. Jack took a deep breath, determination flooding his veins. The ranch's haunting grip wouldn't hold him forever. "We fight." Did he really mean that? And what horrors awaited if they did? The answer loomed just out of reach, teasing them like the tendrils of shadow. The battle for their fates had begun, but at what price? The darkness enveloped them, thick and suffocating, as Jack's declaration hung in the air like a challenge. "We fight." The word seemed to flicker and pulse, echoing against the warped wood of the barn, instigating something primal deep within. Time swirled, and a dizzying sense of urgency clawed at Jack's throat. "Dad, please," Rosie said, her small voice trembling. She was terrified, and who could blame her? The growing shadows writhed like serpents, seeming to breathe and shift with a mind of their own. Jack felt paralyzed as the fear crept further into his bones. Gray's voice broke through the haze, raw and gravelly. "If you're going to fight, then we need to arm ourselves. There's a tool shed out back. We might find something to defend ourselves." "You mean against what? The shadows? This ranch spirit?" Jack struggled to keep his voice steady. His breath was ragged, and sweat trickled down his back despite the chill in the air. "Trust me," Gray snapped, eyes wild, and without waiting for a response, he darted toward the barn door. Jack hesitated, glancing back at the woman you'd just warned him. She was still standing there, fear radiating off her like heat, chest heaving in desperation. "What can we do? What do we need to know?" he asked her, though deep down, he feared the answer. "The ranch has a heart," she hurried, her voice trembling. "Destroy it before it draws in more souls. The vibrations you feel, it's calling for the last set of offerings. The longer you wait, the stronger it'll become." Just as the last of her words settled into the thick air, the shadows surged forward, icy and alive. Jack wrapped his arms around Rosie and pushed her toward the barn door. "Go. I'll protect you." They dashed outside, light filtering through the darkness like a flickering beacon, but it felt so distant. Jack rushed to keep pace with Gray, who led the way toward the tool shed. He dared to glance back, the woman still staring at them from within the barn's dark embrace. The look in her eyes was a warning, a plea, but waiting for her would mean risking everything. He couldn't let his mind wander too long, they had to move. Outside, the world felt different. The air was charged, heavy with anticipation, as if the earth itself was holding its breath. The shed loomed ahead, rusty and faded, but it was their only chance. Gray pushed the door open with a loud creak, revealing jagged tools, dust-covered and forgotten. Jack hurried inside, scanning for anything that could help them combat the unseen threat. "Here!" Gray exclaimed, brandishing a pickaxe, the metal glinting ominously. "We can use this." "But against what?" Jack shot back, frustration flaring. "Do you really think a pickaxe will do anything against whatever that is?" His mind raced, recalling the tales of spirits and traps he'd heard growing up. What if this wasn't just a physical fight? Rosie tugged on his shirt, her eyes wide, sparkling with a blend of fear and determination. "Dad," the woman said, "to destroy the heart. We need to find it." Jack gritted his teeth. She was right. This was more than just a battle, it was about understanding what they were up against. But how? Where do we even? A rumble shook the ground, and from behind them, the laughter echoed again, deeper, thunderous. "Too late. You awaken what you cannot control." The voice carried with it an ancient malice, rippling through the air. "Get the axe." Jack yelled, adrenaline rushing through him as the walls felt like they were closing in. They were trapped in this dark dance, and with fear curling around him, every instinct roared to survive. "No!" A voice screamed from the back of the barn. It was the woman, rushing toward them, hands raised in warning. "You can't do this. Each swing will feed it. What choice do we have?" Jack replied, panic blending with adrenaline. He glanced at Rosie, her eyes shimmering with terror, but also courage. This wasn't just a fight for survival any longer, it was a fight for their very souls. What if we need to use the energy from the tools?" Gray suggested desperately, his voice shaking. "Maybe we can summon it instead. Make it reveal itself." "Summon it?" Jack's heart pounded wildly. "Are you out of your mind? We can't run forever." Gray roared. "We have to call it out. We have to face it." The shadows loomed heavier around them, even as the woman's eyes filled with horror. "They will consume you all." What did Jack believe? The urge to fight burned deep, but now it fought against the instinct to flee. Then a distant, almost melodic sound reverberated through the barn, a strange harmony of whispers and cries, beckoning, calling them toward the heart. "Follow it, trust it," the woman whispered, glancing nervously over her shoulder. "But beware, it knows your names." Jack's jaw clenched, and he steeled his resolve, gripping the axe. With a final glance back at Rosie and Gray, he nodded. "It's time, let us find this heart. We take control now. For Rosie." And as they stepped into the abyss with trembling hearts, they prepared to face not just the ranch, but the darkness within themselves. What awaited them was uncertain, but one thing was clear. The fight was just beginning and shadows awaited their victory. Would they be strong enough to withstand what lurked in the cold? Only one way to find out. The air thickened around them as Jack, Gray, and Rosie stepped into the barn's depths, shadows wrapping around their ankles like icy fingers. Every heartbeat echoed in his ears, drowning out the haunting melody that seemed to rise from the very heart of the ranch itself. "What do you think it means?" Rosie's whisper barely pierced the oppressive silence, her small hand trembling in Jack's grip. He could sense her fear hovering just beneath her resolve. "I don't know," Jack admitted, glancing toward Gray, who was already a few steps ahead, eyes scanning the dark corners. "But whatever it is, we need to be ready." The whispers grew louder, swirling around them, urging them to move closer. The sight of the old, decrepit barn was surreal, wooden beams warped by time, as if they had witnessed horrors long forgotten. Jack's thoughts raced. Could the heart of this ranch be the animal spirits the woman spoke of? Or something far more sinister? "If we're summoning this thing, we need to have a plan," Gray said, his voice a low murmur. The pickaxe hung heavy in his hands, swaying lightly as he fidgeted. "I don't think it's going to just sit there and wait for us to figure things out." "Yeah, but how do we summon it?" Rosie asked, her eyes darting nervously. "What if it doesn't want to be found?" A chill crept through Jack, settling deep in his bones. The shadows shifted around them, pulsating with an unseen energy that was both enticing and terrifying. "We call to it," he said, more to convince himself than anyone else. "We need to let it know we're coming." Before Jack could gather his thoughts, a sudden crash resonated from the far end of the barn. The sound cut through him like a knife, and instinct kicked in. Jack rushed towards the noise, gripping the axe tightly. The laughter boomed again, a grotesque mockery that twisted Jack's stomach. "Stay close," he shouted, urging Rosie forward as they rounded the corner. What they saw made time freeze. There, draped in shadows, stood a massive figure, body obscured but unmistakably human. Its eyes glowed, piercing through the darkness, locking onto them with a predatory gaze. "So, you've come to play," it taunted, voice smooth as silk but dripping with malice. Jack's heart thundered. What are you?" He managed to stammer, paralyzed by a wave of dread rolling off the entity. "You dare question your fate?" It sneered, mouth twisted in a smirk that sent shards of fear straight into Jack's chest. "Your father's soul is the last offering. Only then will the heart of the ranch be revealed." "No!" Rosie shouted, stepping protectively in front of Jack. "You will not take him." Anger surged inside Jack, pushing away the fog of fear. "I won't let you touch her," he roared, though doubt gnawed at the edges of his strength. "We're here to end this, fools, all of you. You think you can fight the essence of mourning? The heart feeds on your fear, and I am its servant," the figure intoned, arms stretching wide as if to embrace the shadows that coiled around them. "You can control it." Gray suddenly yelled, voice breaking through the darkness. "You are not its master." The figure paused, amusement flickering in its ghastly eyes. "Ah, a brave soul. But naive. You think you understand? You think you can summon the heart while shackled to your very own dread? You are all part of the offering now." Another rumble echoed, and the barn walls creaked ominously, as if the building itself felt the weight of the spirit's laughter. Rosie gripped Jack's arm tightly, her warmth cutting through the icy dread, reminding him of their bond. "Let us end this," Jack said, taking a step forward. "Together." As they prepared to face the darkness embodied in front of them, the atmosphere shifted. The ground beneath their feet trembled as shadows began to swirl violently, almost as if the barn itself was alive, reacting to Jack's defiance. But in that instant, the voice of the woman rang in his ears, "Destroy the heart before it destroys you." Time felt warped, breaths quickening as Jack's instinct to protect his daughter collided with the overwhelming fear of the shadows. Would they become the final offering or find a way to escape the death-like clutch of the ranch? Then, a flicker of movement caught Jack's eye, a glimmer hidden in the darkness, pulsing as if alive. The heart, he thought, but would they reach it before the shadows consumed them whole? and as he felt the shadows clawing at him, Jack knew they had to act fast. Would they fight the whispers and revel in their bravery, or would they fall prey to the curse of darkness? A decision had to be made. Would they truly summon the heart tonight, or would the laughter of shadow swallow them into oblivion? The resolution felt similarly heavy and unyielding, pressing them toward the unknown. The air crackled with tension as Jack stilled, catching a glimpse of the pulsing glow that cut through the darkness. It was not just a flicker. It seemed alive, beckoning them, a heartbeat in the haunted silence of the barn. He could feel the fear wrapping more tightly around them, squeezing his chest, threatening to break him apart. Rosie's fingers tightened around his arm, her breath quickening. "Daddy, what is that?" Her voice was softer now, tinged with an innocence that only intensified the horror surrounding them. That Jack took a shaky breath. "I think it's the heart." "Then let us get it," Gray urged, grounding them both with a surge of courage. He stepped forward, the pickaxe gripped tightly in his hands. "We have to destroy it before it takes control of us." "No." The shadowy figure hissed, suddenly more aggressive. It took a step closer, and the dim glow of its eyes sharpened like daggers. "You tread dangerous ground, fools. To confront the heart is to court madness." Jack's resolve hardened. "We're not afraid of you," he shouted, though doubt gnawed at the corners of his mind. The laughter twisted in his gut, each echo vibrating with an unfathomable malice. "Fear is all you have left," the figure sneered, drawing back shadowy hands that almost seemed to billow as if alive. "You cannot escape what you are, Jack. You are bound to the darkness as is your daughter." Rosie gasped, and Jack felt his skin prickle. "You leave her out of this," he shouted, taking a step forward. The shadows lunged, a tempest of black swirling tightly around them. "Daddy! Help!" Her scream sliced through the air, a raw plea that radiated fear and desperation. "Keep moving," Gray commanded, lunging into the fray toward the heart's glow, aided only by the crackle of his determination. Jack's heart raced. He followed, ready to protect Rosie at all costs, but with each step they took, it felt like the barn was closing in on them, walls shifting, the noise mounting, a cacophony of whispers echoing their fears. Jack struggled against it. He needed to be their anchor. "Rosie, stay right behind me," he yelled, swinging the axe in front of him to clear a path as they navigated through the rising chaos. Shadows danced around them, clawing at their sanity, feeding on their fear. Suddenly, the entity lunged, its form sharpening into horrific clarity. "You cannot sever your ties to your past. You're bound by blood inevitably entwined with the heart of this ranch." "Shut up!" Gray screamed, swinging the pickaxe wildly, striking the ground just as a shadow lunged toward him. "You aren't our master." A flare of determination ignited Jack's resolve as he leaned into the fight. "We'll break this curse," he shouted, banging the axe against the barn's wooden beams. "You can't hold us." With thunderous cracks, splintering wood formed around them as they moved toward that pulsing heart. The warmth of its glow beckoned like a lighthouse guiding lost sailors through a storm. He could feel Rosie's courage blend into his, shoving aside the darkness that quaked beneath their feet, and then, the entity howled a desperate, piercing sound that grated against Jack's mind. The shadows recoiled, and for a moment, they had space. "Now!" Jack shouted, pointing toward the heart. They rushed forward, adrenaline fueled by desperation and hope, with every second ticking away like a countdown to oblivion, but just as they were about to reach it, a maddened roar erupted, sending a shockwave through the barn. The shadows surged back to life, flooding the path with an impenetrable mist that swallowed their last chance whole. "We can't give up," Rosie yelled, clutching Jack's waist. "Hold on. We're almost there." Just as hope flickered, Jack felt a sudden tremor beneath him, the ground vibrating like an angry beast. The chaos intensified, and the walls seemed to breathe. "What if it's too late?" Gray panted, gazing wide-eyed at the shadowy maw opening beneath them. "We just have to believe." Jack called out, the words tasting bitter yet fiercely hopeful. but belief alone felt hollow as the shadows twisted tighter, blurring their vision, swallowing their cries of defiance. What awaited them at the heart? Jack! Rosie screamed, the darkness gnawing at them. And in that terror's cape of choice, did courage remain a light, or would it be extinguished forever? The barn closed in, holding its breath, ready to reveal its final curse. The darkness swirled, thickening like smoke, wrapping around them, suffocating their will to fight. Jack's heart thundered in his chest, each beat a reminder that they were racing against time. He could see the glimmer of the heart's glow, but it felt leagues away, snatched from their grasp by the snarl of shadows. Get ready to run! Jack shouted, steeling his resolve. The energy around them crackled, and he whispered a silent prayer whatever power held sway here would not steal his family. Gray didn't hesitate. He swung the pickaxe again, cleaving through the black mist. Each slice drew desperate gasps from the shadows. We can break through. Keep moving. His voice was fierce, cutting through the timorous spirals of dread. Daddy! Rosie's frightened shout was laced with urgency. The barn seemed to moan in response, the timber bending and cracking as if echoing her cry, a sound that twisted Jack's heart. Ahead, the pulsating heart flickered in a maddening rhythm, drawing them closer. Jack's lungs burned with every hurried breath, desperation transforming to sheer terror as he felt the ground tremble beneath them. Were they really getting closer, or was the heart retreating like a mirage? Hold on tight, he warned, grabbing Rosie's hand in a vice-like grip. The strength in her small fingers gave him hope. He twisted around at the sound of Gray grunting as he battled against the encroaching shadows, but those shadows, they were not only whispers now. They took shape, faces emerged, twisted remnants of those who had come before, forever bound to the ranch. Jack recognized a few painful reminders that clawed through his skin with guilt. Why don't you join us? A voice rasped, cold and malicious, dripping with malice. You're one of us, Jack. Your past is your legacy. No. Jack yelled, shoving the sound back. He couldn't let them win. They would not claim his daughter, his present. As they pressed forward, shadows lunged like demonic creatures, whispering poison, dredging up memories he had long buried. Jack's mind flickered to the family he lost, to the mistakes that lingered like ghosts. They were gnawing at him, their accusations and regrets tearing at the fabric of his sanity. Daddy! Rosie wailed again, tugging on his shirt. Don't listen. Keep going. Right. Jack shouted, determination burning as he refocused on the heart's glow. It pulsed like a beacon, promising solace. But as they surged forward, the shadows coiled tighter, their grip vice-like. Jack felt warm liquid trickling down his arm. Had something pierced him in the fight? But he didn't care. There was only one objective now: reach the heart, destroy it, and sever their ties. Suddenly, the floor beneath them gave way in a splintering crash. Jack yanked Rosie to safety just as a swirling abyss opened, dark tendrils reaching hungrily for them. Jump! He commanded, adrenaline flooding through him as he rose above the abyss, reaching for the glowing core. Time slowed. The room tilted as if the very essence of the barn shifted. He swung the axe toward the heart, ready to sever the connection, to free them from bondage, but just as the axe was poised to strike, the pleas of the shadows surged, drowning him in despair. You cannot escape what you are. Your daughter is part of this too. Jack's swing hesitated, heart pounding wildly. Would shattering the heart also shatter Rosie? Daddy, do it. Rosie urged, her eyes wide, locking onto his for that tiny heartbeat in time. We can break free together. The shadows writhed closer, then suddenly receded as if sensing the power of their unity, the strength of their bond. Jack breathed deep, heart racing against despair. With renewed fury, he swung the axe down, a final cry bursting forth, echoing in the darkness. The moment the blade connected, a blinding light erupted, filling the barn with an overwhelming glow. And as the light burst forth, Jack felt something break within himself. But would it be freedom? Or would it unlock a horror beyond what they had already faced? In the chaos, a presence loomed, no longer shrouded. You've awakened what? Should have stayed asleep. What would they unleash now? The world around them dissolved into an explosion of white light, blinding Jack and sucking him into a whirlpool of confusion and dread. Whispers grazed his ears, a cacophony of voices spiraling around him, pleading, mocking, each one tearing at his resolve. Stay with us, Jack. You can't escape. He felt Rosie's hand slipping from his grip. Panic jolted through him, louder than the roiling darkness that seemed to seep into every crevice of his mind. No. Instinctively, he reached for her, fingers stretching into nothingness as the blinding light began to pulse and flicker. He could see Rosie's terrified face, her lips moving in silent screams mirroring the turmoil raging in his heart. The shadowy creatures hissed, slinking back into the corners, their presence remaining a relentless weight as if they knew what they were about to unleash, and then, with a lightning bolt of realization, Jack recalled the edge of that vibrant heart, a mischief of liquid warmth mingling with an equally pulsating rage. He hadn't just aimed to destroy it, he tapped into an ancient power, one they weren't prepared to wield. The light dimmed abruptly, replaced by shattering darkness, leaving an eerie silence hanging in the air. Jack's heart raced as he realized they'd been thrust into a void, no barn, no shadows, just endless black. The absence of sound was heavier than the shadows themselves. Jack! Rosie's voice sounded far away, echoing against the abyss. His insides turned to ice. Where are you? Daddy? Rosie! His voice erupted, frantic, as he stumbled through the dark, searching for her through the unshed tears blurring his vision. I'm right here. In the emptiness, a flicker of light returned, revealing a grotesque shift of scenery around him. Roots of deep hallowed trees spread wide, their branches twisted in yearning, while an ethereal fog curled about, obscuring the ground beneath them. Shadows shifted and twisted within the mist, their outlines still gnashing like teeth eager to sever their fragile connection. Look! Rosie's voice echoed again, stronger now, as a ghostly apparition broke through the fog. It shimmered, an amalgamation of memories bound to the original heart, the faces of lost loved ones, twisted in anguish and longing. They're here. The figure that stood before them was a woman with eyes like frozen ice, piercing into Jack's soul. His breath caught, recognition squeezing his chest, the longing for a mother he could barely remember twisted painfully in his throat. You've disrupted the balance, Jack, she stated, her voice resonating like an old haunting melody. What you awaken cannot be undone. What do you want? He shouted, anger surging with the urgency of a father's love. I'll do anything. Just let us go. Anything. You must make a choice. The figure gestured towards Rosie, who stood trembling, eyes wide in fear and confusion. Will you embrace the curse or protect your blood? Jack faltered, heart shattering at the decision looming like a storm cloud above him. The shadows around him grew restless, whispering secrets of despair with each tremor of his heart. Make your move, Jack, the woman intoned, eyes luminescent and unreadable. Choose wisely. Your past will shape your daughter's future. Every breath became a battering ram against his chest, the enormity of what lay ahead weighed down by his past. Could he bear the nightmare that awaited should he fail? Daddy, please. Rosie's voice broke through the dense fog. We have to get out of here. He turned toward her and saw the flames of determination burning in her soft gaze. For Rosie, he would face the abyss. But what lies ahead in the shadows? Would the past ensnare them, or could he ignite a new future of freedom? As the air crackled with tension, Jack knew a storm was brewing, and the true test was just beginning. The decision would change everything, but at what cost? What will he risk to save her? A choice at the edge of darkness awaited them both. Jack's heart thundered in his chest, each beat a cruel reminder of the choice he faced. The shadows around him writhed like serpents, urging him to yield, to embrace whatever curse awaited him. But his eyes remained locked on Rosie, her small form fragile yet fierce in the suffocating darkness. What do I do? He whispered, a plea lost in the malevolent humidity of the mist. The icy woman's gaze bored deep into him, unblinking, waiting for his answer. Whispers spiraled around him again, promising doom if he faltered. Choose quickly, Jack. Time slips through your fingers like sand. Her words were a death knell. Jack's insides twisted, and his stomach churned. He swallowed hard, throat dry as he lunged to Rosie's side, his voice low but fierce. I won't let anything happen to you, Rosie. I promise. Daddy, please. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. I can feel them, they want me. His hands shook as he reached for her, the warmth of her presence anchoring him against the swirling shadows. You have to trust me. I'll find a way to save us both. The shadows cloaked and constricted, and suddenly, a feverish thought ignited in his mind. Maybe I don't have to choose, Jack shouted into the void. Maybe I can fight this. The woman's expression shifted an imperceptible twitch of surprise. In that moment, something snapped. The air grew thick with the weight of his determination. He flung his arms out wide, addressing the formless darkness. I connect with the light. I am not afraid of you. The shadows writhed, hissing like enraged beasts threatened by his resolve. A low growl vibrated through the ether, a sound of disapproval echoing from every corner. Jack clenched his fists, desperate to shield Rosie. He could feel the darkness lashing at him, but his anger ignited something deep within, a spark of the power he had accessed before. The lights flickered again, this time a vibrant blue, sparking through the blackness like a thunderclap. It illuminated the woman's face, melding shadows with luminous hues, altering her figure just enough for him to discern the barest hint of sympathy buried beneath her icy facade. The life he had disrupted was an intricate tie, web woven through time. Power doesn't forgive transgressions lightly, she warned, her voice tempered with a softness that caught him off guard. You wield forces beyond comprehension. Tread carefully. Suddenly, Rosie's scream ripped him from his thoughts. He jerked toward her, finding her surrounded by dark tendrils that twisted and stretched hungrily. Jack! Help! Her voice was a shrill cry shattered by terror, cutting through the fog like glass. Get away from her! Rage surged through Jack. As if his outburst bridged the void between them, he pushed forward, channeling rage into a blinding force. The tendrils flinched, recoiling from the luminescent shockwaves radiating from him, but the shadows were relentless. They surged around him, curling like tight ropes, choking his freedom. You cannot escape your fate. With a primal scream, he thrust his hand out, exploding with luminescence that forced the shadows to retreat. Light clashed against darkness, a chaotic ballet of energy that twisted and turned around Rosie. In that moment he saw it, a rip in space where the heart lay, pulsating with the memories of all he had loved and lost. The answer, a way to bridge both worlds, beckoned him. The heart required a sacrifice, but would it cost him Rosie? Stand back! He yelled, once again focusing every ounce of his being. You will not take her. And then, the light swallowed them. Visions morphed, flashes of a life together outside this nightmare danced in his mind, a future he desperately fought for. Ghosts of regret fluttered around him, broken remnants of lives lived. Jack! The air crackled with unexpected electricity, the boundary between past and present flickered as history strained against the weight of choices. As he felt the heart's pull resonating deeper, seeping into him, Jack realized, perhaps to protect Rosie, he must let go of everything he once knew. A final revelation hit harder. Then a thunderclap. I have to trust you, Rosie, he calmed himself, though fear chilled him to the bone. We can face this together. But as they hurtled deeper into the heart of conflict, Jack felt the truth of the shadows gnawing at the edges of his mind. Not all sacrifices lead to salvation. What awaited him on the other side of the light? Would this decision seal their fates forever, or was it merely the beginning of a darker journey? Jack clutched Rosie's hand tightly, their fingers entwined like lifelines. They stood on the precipice of the heart, surrounded by a swirling tempest of shadows and light. The luminous heart pulsed rhythmically, a beacon of hope amidst the darkness, inviting them closer, beckoning them to strike a deal with destiny. Would it save them or devour everything they loved? "Daddy, I'm scared," Rosie whispered, her voice trembling. Her small frame felt fragile in that oppressive darkness, and Jack felt his heart ache with fierce protectiveness. "I'm here, Rosie. We'll face this together," Jack assured her, the words spilling from his lips not just as comfort but as a promise. He could feel the weight of history pressing against them, each whisper of the shadows carrying echoes of former lives, lost loves, regrets that threatened to pull him under. The figure of the icy woman hovered nearby, watching with an intensity that made Jack's skin crawl. "You have a choice to make, Jack. There's more at stake than you know. This heart holds the balance of many lives, including your own." His heart raced. The pressure of that truth felt insurmountable. Would shattering the heart mean severing his bond with Rosie, or could it free them from the grasp of the ranch's malevolence? Jack took a deep breath, determination coursing through every fiber of his being. "Enough games!" he shouted, his voice echoing against the shadows. "You think I'll sacrifice my daughter? I will not allow you to take her." The shadows hissed in response, thrumming with dark energy. "You're tied to the land, Jack. You carry the sins of those who came before you. The past cannot be erased, and refusing to confront it only strengthens the ties that bind you," the woman said, her presence swirling in mist. Jack bared his teeth, fear turning to rage. "No more pushing me around. I will not let you trap me in the past." With that, he swung his free arm towards the heart, urging Rosie closer. "It's time to break this cycle. We find our freedom now." As if in response, glowing tendrils from the heart surged toward them, wrapping around their hands in a soft embrace. Jack felt warmth flood through him, grounded in the belief that love could conquer all, even the darkest of curses. "Tap into it." Gray's voice broke through the fear. "Use the bond of your love to channel the heart's power. You can shatter the darkness." With Gray's encouragement igniting a blaze of courage, Jack took a step forward. He squeezed Rosie's hand, feeling her pulse against his. "Let us do this, Rosie. Together. Together." She echoed, her voice ringing with tentative bravery. Jack shouted into the swirling shadows, "We choose life. We choose love." And with that, he surged forward with Rosie, arms raised as the light expanded, pulsating with brilliant energy that resonated through the barn. The shadows writhed in agony, recoiling from their combined strength. "No!" The voice of the entity howled, ripping through the air, fangs bared and shrieking in fury. "This is impossible." But even as the darkness encroached, Jack found clarity. This was the moment he had been waiting for. The heart was not an end, but a beginning. He swung the axe with fierce conviction, feeling the connection between them intensify as whispers surged. The moment of collision seemed to stretch like an eternity. With a deafening crack, the axe met the heart, and a brilliant light exploded forth, illuminating the barn in a kaleidoscope of colors. Jack felt like he was being torn apart and rebuilt, memories rushing through him, those he had loved, those he had lost, all mingling in the radiance of that moment. Time warped around them, and Jack could hear voices around him, a symphony of memories flooding in, each searching for release. Guilt knotted in his stomach, but alongside it blazed a fierce determination. "We're stronger than this," he roared, the words vibrating through him. "Our past does not define our future." The heart quaked violently, releasing a shockwave that sent cracked spiderwebbing through the barn. From the fissures, the memories surged forth. Figures of the ranch's tragic history emerged, their faces twisted with longing and despair. Yet, illuminated by Jack's fierce resolve, they found peace. "Let us go," they breathed as the light enveloped them, returning to the world outside. Through the chaos, as shadows dissipated into the brilliance, Jack felt Rosie's grip strengthen. "We're doing it, Dad." Her excitement sparked within him, adding fuel to his fight, and then, in a final cataclysm, the heart erupted in a shower of golden particles, cascading through the barn like sunbeams piercing a fog. Jack and Rosie were thrown back, landing on the ground amidst the soft glow of hope and warmth. The shadows shrieked one last time, retreating, their power unraveling as their grasp was severed. Breathless and enveloped in golden light, Jack pulled Rosie into his arms, hugging her tightly. "We did it," he whispered, tears of relief and joy streaming down his face. "We did it together, Daddy," she replied, her voice filled with wonder. As the remnants of darkness vanished, the barn transformed before their eyes. The walls, once decayed and warped, now stood sturdy under the sunlight that streamed through the open doors. They were free. But as Jack looked around, he felt a swell of gratitude. They didn't just escape the ranch's grip, they emerged renewed. Though the past shaped them, it would not dictate their future. Stepping out into the light, the weight of legacy lifted. They could forge a new path, one that embraced hope and love. Jack held Rosie's hand, the warmth flooding both their hearts. "Let us build something beautiful, Rosie. Together." And as father and daughter walked into a future unfettered by shadows, the sun smiled down, signifying the dawn of endless possibilities. The ranch had unleashed its dread, but instead of darkness, they would weave a tapestry of strength. This was their time, a new beginning. Hey, if you enjoyed this conclusion, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for more incredible stories like this one. Don't you dare forget to smash that like button now, it really helps the algorithm and keeps these stories coming. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this ending. I can't wait to hear from you, and share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. Let us keep this community growing strong, and I can't wait to bring you more amazing tales next time.